Arizona is number one right now, as in the number one worst state in the country for COVID-19, the worst for COVID cases per population, the worst for percent of people to test positive. We've been barreling toward this outcome for weeks, and it'll be weeks until any sort of let up. Finally, now facing the inevitable result, Governor Doug Ducey took a serious tone while telling the public yesterday afternoon that you're safer at home. And that message then echoed on the front page of Arizona newspapers today. But experts tell ABC 15 investigator Dave Biscobing it's all too little, too late.
The state of Arizona is front page national news this morning. How Arizona lost control of the epidemic. Here's where we were. Here's where we are now. Here's how we compare to other states who are struggling.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Cue Governor Doug Ducey yesterday when asked if he made mistakes.
I know that it's your job to ask the tough questions, but there's no magical decision or golden government action that will stop this virus. It is among us, it is widespread, and it is growing.
As if almost there's nothing that could have been done. What do you think about that?
I think that's a concerning message. That kind of, well, what's going to happen is going to happen approach can be really dangerous.
Dr. Saskia Popescu is an epidemiologist, infectious disease tracker with Arizona and George Mason University.
Did it have to be like this in Arizona? Did we have to get to this point?
This was very much avoidable. We opened too early and too fast. Within that weekend and the following week, restaurants reopened, businesses, bars, and it wasn't a surprise when Memorial Day weekend, Arizona was making the news with videos of Old Town Scottsdale and bars throughout the city and the state packed with people.
While the governor talked tough yesterday,
there will be accountability and there will be enforcement.
And tweeted tough today, saying we will hold bad actors accountable. Here's what Ducey said back when it first started happening, when questioned about whether he was concerned with the crowds and a lack of enforcement by local police.
I'm grateful to them that they have taken the posture of having a lighter touch.
Now the caseload is heavy. Hospitals are hitting surge capacity. People who need tests can't even get them. All of this on top of the devastating toll that COVID-19 has had in our elder care homes.
We have absolutely failed our most vulnerable population.
Dana Kennedy with AARP Arizona actually stood side by side with Ducey at the beginning of the pandemic. Her feelings have changed.
I've lost hope. I feel like the state has just given up on us.
Arizona has refused to release information about outbreaks in long-term care facilities. Kennedy says Arizona has failed to do enough to keep people inside safe.
So to say that I'm outraged is underestimating how I feel. It didn't have to be this way.
Do you feel like the decisions the state has made have cost people's lives?
It hasn't saved lives, that's for sure.
Since the beginning, the governor and his staff have criticized local and national media for sounding alarms. Yesterday, that changed.
If I did have one ask, one request that I could make of the press, if you could do whatever you can in your power to make sure that every Arizonan hears today and wakes up tomorrow and hears for the foreseeable future that you are safer at home, the virus is widespread.
And it was like this reversal. So it's like it's like we've been treated as alarmists, and now they're saying, "Oh, we haven't been alarmist enough." Do you think that plays a role in the public trust and not understanding the significance or the truth behind what's happening?
Definitely. I think when you have competing and flip-flopping communication from leaders, that's going to create a huge transparency issue. And I think a lot of this actually stems much earlier when the ASU modeling team was fired just before we reopened quite prematurely.
That bears repeating. As the governor set to reopen, the state's modeling team had data saying it was too early. We didn't meet the criteria. Things would get worse.
If this data isn't meeting our criteria or what we want to say, we're just going to get rid of it. And that was deeply concerning when that occurred.
Here's the governor, May 12th.
I showed a green light today, and it's a green light to continue to go in the right direction. We are clearly on the other side of this pandemic.
We're clearly on the other side of this pandemic. And I think that was said in around May 12th or right around there. how could, I mean, is it, I guess I'm trying to understand, how could anyone even have made that claim and then now ask the public to trust them with future, things? I just wonder if that's kind of why we're here,
It's very possible. That's very concerning. And especially, saying we've overcome this, we're past this, that essentially tells people they don't need to worry anymore. And that's not the case.
Those were his words, but experts also point to Ducey's actions. The Washington Post article specifically mentions Ducey's inaction on requiring a mask mandate. In the end, with pressure growing, he punted responsibility. Last week, he finally allowed local leaders to mandate masks for their own communities, something he had blocked them from doing before. Then the state announced the Mask Up AZ campaign, and Ducey himself finally started sporting a mask when showing up to his briefings. It's an action and visual message that experts say came way too late, something that seemed to be more performance in the wake of growing pressure.
Essentially be number one in raw cases per capita, and by far the worst for percent positive. Mm-hmm. Those don't have to be that way. That could have been mitigated.
It absolutely could have been.
I'm investigator Dave Biskobing, ABC 15, Arizona.